Welcome to Home Team Advantage. I'm Gary Gimbetti along with Mike Egan, and after a week off, because somebody went to gamble his money away down in Las Vegas, but he had fun. So he went to a Zach Brown concert.
Yeah, it was a good time. It was 97 degrees. I don't gamble a lot. You act like so I lost the house. That doesn't mean
that doesn't mean you gamble very much, does it? No. So
I go to sightsee, and there's a lot of sights to see.
Okay. Especially at night.
Especially at night.
And maybe during the day. Who knows? I've never been out there, so I don't know what kind of clientele hangs out there.
Yeah, unfortunately, it's changed quite a bit because of the lack of law enforcement they have out there now because of all that crap that's going on. So there's a lot more transient people you see, laying on the sidewalks and doing stuff and living there, and which is unfortunate. But then you go down the Fremont Street and it's quite different, but entertaining, but quite different. But
yeah, we're not that kind of show, so we don't talk like that about what is actually going on in places. But hey, we can, well, we could, I suppose. From what I hear on the radio, and they're from KFAN in the morning, I guess nothing's off limits on radio.
Yeah,
because I don't know when they go too far.
Well, we're lucky. We're respectable guys. We don't swear or say dirty words and all that kind of stuff on this show. The hell, if we did that, we'd be fired.
Yeah, we lose that income we get.
Right.
Yeah.
You can tell by our sponsor.
That we're making big bucks here.
Yeah.
But it's
all right.
Hey, May the 4th be with you, I guess.
Yeah.
So it's Star Wars Day today.
What?
May the 4th be with you.
Oh, I thought maybe you were going out to play golf or something.
No. Well, that opens today, by the way.
Yeah, you should practice that. Four,
I do not. I don't have to practice that. I'm good at that one. So, but no, it's open to walkers today at 1 o'clock.
Oh, really?
No carts
No.
until Saturday, I don't think. So.
Oh, good.
But I do have a baseball game at 1:30 over in Chisholm, so I can't partake in the.
Well, you can always come to the
world.
air-conditioned golf simulator.
I should, and I haven't taken you up on that yet, and I should, because I need to practice some big-time golf swings. But
anyways, high school sports, what's going on? Where do you want to start? Girls softball.
I wasn't paying attention. No. Girls softball. They had the Iron Range tournament last Friday. They beat Deer River, I believe, 18-1. And then they played Greenway, Nashwauk-Keewatin, and beat them 6-5, I think, in the bottom of the 7th inning. But the third game was rained out, I believe.
Okay.
Because it started raining. I only stayed for the one game, thank goodness, because it was raining the whole way home, and I would have been miserable out at those fields in Bovee.
Yeah.
So I won't miss that.
Not much protection out there.
No, unless you're sitting in the dugout with the team, and I don't really care to do that. So, but then they came back on Monday and beat Duluth East. I want to say like 7-0. I can't even remember. That's how bad my memory is. So they beat them, and then they haven't played since then. So, but they're doing okay. They're above 500.
Yep.
So good for Katie and the team.
You got to play on the new field.
Yes, they did. They christened that against. Can't remember who they. No, I can't even remember who they played out there the first time.
So it's Gary G. and Betty. Your address is?
I don't remember. I don't remember my birth date either. So
we did. It was 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, it was 2 weeks ago.
Yeah,
no, I
played your
that.
favorite song.
If I go to the clinic, at least I can remember that stuff. Yeah. So I don't need a memory test or a cognitive test.
A who?
But yeah, and so that they're doing fine. I mean, now I saw. In the Deer River game, Riley Forboard pitched the first couple innings, and then they put Emma McDowell in the last two. I think she's an 8th grader, and she pitched.
Wow.
She did pretty well for being an 8th grader, I
So
think. I think she's an 8th grader.
It's a little depth on the team then.
There is depth at pitching. So Ani Bowman doesn't have to throw her arm
All the
out.
time.
Yeah, so that's a good thing.
Good. Boys baseball, anything going on?
Boys
Them yet?
baseball, they let International Falls, they played International Falls over at the Rock Ridge Fields.
Was that the Rock Ridge fields that have 3, 4 turf fields?
Well, yeah, something like that. I know there's at least 2 there. According to the producer, there might be
yep,
4
3.
there.
No, 3.
There's at least 3.
3.
So
Wonder if we
come
can-
on, City of Hibbing and School District of Hibbing, let's get with it and get some turf out by Cheever Field or wherever you want to put it.
Go ahead, Nyberg.
But well, that's probably the logical option right there. But they let Falls hang around too long, and he started a couple pitchers that aren't his
Starters.
1 and 2 or
Yeah.
3, I don't think, which he should, because they had a weekend series with Sauk Rapids and Alexandria
Okay.
over over the next 2 days there. So, but they let him hang around. They hit the ball okay. They were a better team than the Falls, but you can't let teams like that hang around. And
Kind of like the Twins.
yeah,
Can't
It's
beat the
kinda-
teams they're supposed to.
yeah. And they ended up getting beat. I can't remember that either. But they got beaten 9 innings there, I believe, or 8 innings or 9 innings.
Okay.
So they got beaten extra innings. Then they went down to Alexandria. The Sauk Rapids game must have been postponed or canceled, and then they played Alexandria because the weather must have been nicer in Alexandria than Sauk Rapids, I guess. And they got beat 4-0. But Alex scored all 4 of their runs in the first inning, and they didn't give up anything after that.
So they've had a tough go at it
Yeah.
to start with.
And then they were supposed to play Grand Rapids here on Tuesday, but of course our field's not ready.
Right.
And so they went over to Rapids, and I give them a lot of credit. Rapids is the defending champs in the section. It was 1-1 until the 6th inning, and then Rapids scored 7 runs
Oh,
in that inning and beat us 8-1. But that's what Rapids does.
yeah. Well, it's just got to be a plus for them to get out of the gym and just actually start playing now. I mean, it's the first week of May and you're playing your first games. So,
Yeah, and they had beaten. Well, boy, a bad memory. I do have a bad memory this morning. Because they had played a couple. They had played a couple games before that, before the Falls game, and I think they had won one of them. So they got a couple, well, at least one win on the season
All right.
so far. But
well, it's still early yet too. So,
and they have Denfeld coming up either today or tomorrow at Wade Stadium. So they'll be getting back in action when they play at Wade. So that's kind of takes care of that. Track. We'll have, and I don't know if this is true or not, but they'll have their first real home meet in 3 years tomorrow
Yep.
at the Doc Savage meet.
yeah.
Now, I get it, the 1 year was postponed because of COVID. Then the next year, meets were limited to the size of the team, the number of teams that could be there
Right.
because of the pushback on that. And then last year, of course,
There was a hole in the ground.
yeah. So they didn't have a track.
Yeah.
So tomorrow's that, and they were supposed to have a quad there I think this week or last week, but that got moved to Superior because I noticed that all the snow at the shot put area wasn't melted yet.
Oh, okay.
So I'm sure that's probably why they probably did that. And there's probably some other snow somewhere else, but
Well, hopefully there won't be too much snow left after today.
well, no, I mean, so they're going to have their first meet, both boys and girls will be there tomorrow. There'll be 11 teams. There'll be 10 other teams with them there. And a lot of Iron Range flavor to the teams. I know like Carlton Renshaw's there and Big Fork and that, but Big Fork's, I mean, they're close enough to the
Yep.
range, but it's a lot of the range teams like GNK and Rock Ridge and
Good.
all that. So Ely, Mesabi East.
And this year,
Chisholm.
it's a district or region track meet will be there.
Yeah, there's probably a region meet there, and I'm not sure which one, if it's AAA or AA or single
Double
A.
A, I think.
I could see the single A is usually is down in Duluth.
Yeah.
And we usually do host the
Double-
subsection
Yeah.
meet for the Class A teams here, and then those teams or individuals advance to Duluth.
Yeah.
So maybe maybe they are hosting a region meet. So, and then I heard that the works are in progress next year to host both the boys and the girls basketball, Class A.
Class
at
A
the
will, hopefully be held at the Memorial Building.
Building. I know that's way off base there. We're getting off tangent, but
What else is new?
yeah, well, we do that all the time.
Yeah.
Tennis just won 2 matches down in Princeton. They beat North Branch and Princeton down there. They're having a decent year, but that's
So who's the teams to beat? Is it like Forest? Is it Forest Lake?
no. They're Class A,
Oh, okay.
so you have to beat Rock Ridge.
Yeah.
We're always a contender, and I'm not sure if there's who the other teams would be. Pine City maybe might be a team that has to be dealt with, but I know we beat them. It'll be Rock Ridge.
Yeah.
You know, because they allow athletes to play 2 sports over there.
Right.
You know, so they play tennis and then they run track. I mean, is that like, it's not against school, is that against policy here, or isn't it?
No.
So you could play
Sure.
2 sports
Yeah,
here,
if you wanted to.
but we don't have anybody that ever does that. Not that I know of anyway.
Unfortunately, no, we don't. And I think a lot of that goes back to everybody thinks they're going to be, a pro this or a pro that. They concentrate only on one sport, and it hurts. It hurts all the programs. So
Because like a golfer could play baseball
sure,
if he wanted to.
yeah. Well, we we did have a couple of soccer kids that played football.
Yeah.
A few years that I was practicing there, and I think last year their kicker was a
Was
soccer,
a soccer player.
So
So we have had them,
Dual
but
sports.
nothing. Yeah, but again, a kicker, he wasn't inserted into the lineup. As
do we
far
have
as
something against kickers?
no,
Gary?
no, I don't. It's a very good profession. I mean, if
Maybe
you
go
can do
back
it-
to the Fred Cox days.
Yeah, you can. It's too bad you don't see more of them.
Yeah. Who's that Viking kicker that missed Gary Anderson?
Anderson.
The one that missed the field goal to put him in the Super Bowl?
Yep.
Oh,
Yeah.
see,
That's
I kickity touchdown.
way to bring
1998.
up bad memories and make me depressed.
Well, you might as well get used to it because you got to get the same thing this year. What are you going to do when the Bears are in Detroit are
Well,
the best
Detroit-
teams in the division?
Well, the Detroit Lions are shaping up to be the best team in the
Yeah.
division, but they have to handle the prosperity of being a favorite.
Speaking of that, I guess if you want to jump to it, we could jump a little bit into the draft and see what you're feeling.
Yeah, I don't personally. I don't live and die for the draft.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't go and study all these players like some people do. That not outside of the organizations. Now we're talking, not
Right.
because obviously they have to, but I don't look at it. So I don't who they drafted. I guess the first round one was a surprise when they picked a receiver.
Yeah.
But you know what? If he's good,
Especially when they had that young quarterback, Willis, is that his name? The one that was supposed to be a top 10 draft, and he went
Levis.
Levis, and he went in the second round.
Well, they had a big run on. I think 3 or 4 of them were drafted,
Yeah, it was
Like
top
right
round.
away.
Yeah,
and that Levis and Hendon Hooker is his name. They fell into the second and third rounds, and
but you never know what's going to. You look at Tom Brady; he's the last guy taken in the draft, and look how much success he's had. So you never know what you're going to get.
then they got a kid from Brigham Young.
Yeah, it's like
So, who knows?
Like Forrest Gump says, it's like a box of chocolates. You don't know what you're going to get until you get on the field.
That's right. And they got the cornerback from USC along with the receiver from USC, and then picked up a couple of linebackers.
Yeah.
And
What's really amazing, though, when you watch the draft, is how many kids are drafted out of the SEC. I mean, from Georgia, Alabama, because you're basically coming from a professional college to a professional team. So, yeah, well, no. Cousins was on the other day. He had his big, press conference, and he's not thinking about the future. He's thinking about this year and what's going to be done. And I think I think the Vikes made a mistake. They should have drafted a quarterback, and not in the 5th round from some kid from Utah or from Brigham Young.
Yeah.
So
Well, you see, I guess in his press conference, though, he said he doesn't want to necessarily work out an extension. He wants to earn it.
yep. Well,
So we'll see how he plays this
Yeah.
year. I mean, maybe he'll earn it. But like the good point was brought up. Ben Lieber on the morning show at KFAN this morning said, "Why all of a sudden, if all this talk of him going to San Francisco?" He goes, "No, if you don't like Kirk Cousins and you don't think he can do it here, what makes you think he can do it in San Francisco?"
Yeah.
But right away, everybody would say San Francisco's a contender
They're a better team.
to win the Super Bowl. But
Yep.
yeah, that's what it all boils down to.
Yep. I think they got a better offensive line than what we have. Although ours is getting better, I think.
And the defense there is a lot better.
Better, yep.
So, I mean, it does. It boils down to what you have around you. And I don't think, other than the offensive line, I think the offensive weapons are
Well,
pretty even. I mean, I think we have just as good of, receivers.
the next 3 months you'll start getting the hype, them to build up, and everybody will be on the bandwagon for them, and then they'll lose 2 to Detroit, and they'll lose 2 to Green Bay, and 1 to Chicago. And
Boy, if they lose, sorry, Kerry, but if they lose to Green Bay twice this year,
yeah,
then you better check the futures of everybody on that team. Now that old saga is over, what did you think about that with Rodgers going to the Jets?
it's like it's just like Brett Favre went there. It'll last a year, and then he'll be somewhere else, and then he'll take his dark room talking to a rock, whatever it is that he does. And I don't think he's going to do that well with the Jets. So
Well, yeah, we'll see. I mean, if the Jets are contenders all of a sudden, maybe he still has some
juice in the tank.
juice in the tank,
Yep.
gas in the tank. So
I'm glad to
Good
see
for
him
him.
leave the Packers.
yeah, if they get another, Jordan Love turns out to be their 3rd quarterback, Hall of Fame quarterback,
Yeah. Yeah.
then the Vikings really
They
have
get
to
to trouble,
start
yeah.
evaluating their drafts and picking guys that can be Hall of Fame quarterbacks.
Well, speaking about another team that gets everybody hyped up and doesn't do it, our Wild team fizzled.
Ooh, I don't know if fizzled's the right word. They bombed. I mean, the performance, again, I don't watch the games because I get too frustrated.
It's just like, they played that double overtime game, and it seemed like, well, here they go. They got the catalyst to get going, and then right after that, they fell apart.
Mm-hmm.
So, I don't know.
Well, I think it's embarrassing, and if, Bill Guerin says it's disappointing, but I think it's embarrassing
Well,
because you're supposedly the state of hockey,
right.
and we have nothing to show for it.
Yeah, and you got a bunch of Florida teams playing for the Stanley Cup.
Yeah, Florida and then Vegas and then
Yep.
Seattle,
Yep, the Kraken.
who are only in their 2nd year of existence. Vegas must be in their 3rd or 4th?
I think they're in their 4th.
4th year of
Yeah.
existence, and they had already made it to the Stanley Cup Finals in their 1st year.
Yep.
And it's like, how does that happen? And then you think,
You think if we got it bad, what about Colorado?
well, I realize that Colorado, but they were missing. Well, we were missing Eck. They were missing Landeskog. Yeah, I don't know what to think about Colorado, but I guess if we have Pat on, we got Micheletti on again,
Yep.
we can ask him about Colorado. But I don't think their goaltending was that great.
No.
I don't know if their defense is that great. So, I mean, but they had the potential to score goals, obviously. And then again, you mentioned Boston.
Yep. Number one.
Rolled right through the
broke all
regular
records.
season.
Yep.
And they're out. And then the Knicks the Rangers have the best goaltender in the world, usually in Shesterkin.
Yeah.
And they're out.
Yeah.
So hockey's a whole different animal. I mean, it doesn't matter what seed you are.
Yep.
Of course, the seeding in the NHL is awful.
Well, we know you don't have a personal liking to the Wild coach, but do you think some of the blame can be pushed his way?
Well, I thought if you can get out coached in hockey, he got out coached.
Okay.
Yeah, I definitely believe that.
Okay.
Pete DeBoer, after Dumba's hit on Pavelski, Pete DeBoer came out and said, "Yeah, we know it was a clean hit. I mean, it might have been a penalty, an interference penalty maybe, but it was a clean hit. because he evidently said we have the best refs in the world,
Yeah.
and Minnesota is like the 6th most penalized team in the, and right then and there, that set the wheels in motion, and
Yeah.
we kept taking penalty after penalty.
Yeah, it
and-
was it Hart? No, not Hartman.
well, Foligno.
Foligno. He took some really stupid
Well,
penalties.
that's the thing. I mean, it's not. I don't think personally, and I don't play. It's not that hard to not cross-check somebody. It's not that hard to not interfere with somebody, and it's not that hard to hold somebody.
Well, just ask. You can just look at Suter. Look how many times he cross-checked.
Well-
he never got called.
No, he didn't, and that got in the heads
Yep.
of the Wild players. And I wrote a column the other day, and I thought that instead of going after Suter, they cowered.
Yep.
They cowered into a
Yep.
corner, and that was it. Because if you were going to attack Kaprizov like that, somebody should have went after him. And I don't care how many minutes they got in penalties. He should have been taken care of right there. Because you just, but then again, the best refs in the world. Okay, no.
So now you're advocating violence in the hockey game.
Oh yeah, no, that's never happened. There was plenty of that going on this year in the playoffs, not just with the Wild and the Stars.
Well, before we get out, who are you going to pick to win the Stanley Cup then?
Well, I don't want Dallas to win it,
No.
and I don't want the Kraken to win, and I don't want the Knights to win.
You want an East team then?
Well, I'm not high on Edmonton. I don't necessarily like that, but if I had to pick a team out of the West, it would be Edmonton, because I
Okay,
don't want
yep.
to see any of those other 3 teams get there. Then the East, you have Toronto. I want to see the Toronto fans suffer. Believe me, they were puckered up there when who did they play? Tampa Bay.
Tampa Bay.
When they Tampa Bay came back and
Yep.
made that a series, and
Yep.
I think wasn't it 3-3 or
Yeah, it ended up the
Or was
7th game, I think it was.
Okay.
Yeah.
so they're starting to pucker up there. So now Florida took a
Well, when you haven't been in the Stanley Cup since 1941,
Wow.
you get a little
Yeah.
excited.
yeah, and it's like, so it's either Florida or Toronto. I guess I wouldn't mind seeing Florida, and then you have, I believe, New Jersey and Carolina.
Yeah.
So
So
I
you
would-
got Florida, which is a Southern team, Carolina, which is a Southern team, Dallas, which is a Southern team,
team.
basically.
and Vegas is a
Southern
team.
Wow.
I don't. Yeah.
State of hockey is not in Minnesota anymore.
No, it isn't. And if you don't, and Bill Guerin, I know Michael Russo asked a question to Guerin about that the other day in his press conference that I was listening to, and Guerin snapped at him because he goes, "How do you get over the hump
Yeah.
to get into the second round?" He goes, "Well, what hump are you talking about?" I go, "They don't put our name on the Stanley Cup by getting into the second round."
Right.
But you have to get to the second round to get to the Stanley Cup.
Yeah. And how did they let a kid like the goalie for Dallas, who's from Minnesota, get away from him?
Well, that they have no control over.
Oh, I think they do.
I mean, could they have drafted him? I suppose.
Yeah.
But what did he do the other night?
Well, he didn't do so well.
No. Seattle went in there. Joe Pavelski came back, scores 4 goals,
Yeah.
and Seattle cracks Ottinger for 5.
Yeah.
They scored more goals in one game against him than we scored in
4 games?
3 games or
3
4 games,
Yeah.
whatever it was. So it's like, where does your team go in the playoffs?
Yeah.
They don't show up.
Well, we've talked about the winning Vikings, the winning Wild, the Timberwolves, not so good.
Nah, we
So
can
won't
just
talk about
bypass
that.
them.
So now we have our 4th team that we can talk about, that Minnesota Twins.
What were they, 17?
17 and 14.
And yeah, but were they 17 and 12
Yeah.
going into the series with the lowly White Sox,
Yep.
who only had won like 7 games?
And we're getting beat 10-0 and 12-0.
And they lose 3-2,
Extra
And-
innings.
And it's
and then 6-4
6-4 last
yesterday on Wednesday. And and again, I don't watch them. I record them. If they win, I watch. If they don't, I'm stupid. I get it. I have a fear of watching Minnesota sports but it just lets you down all the time.
Well, you just don't have enough money to buy enough TVs when you throw stuff at it.
No, that's true. I got broken TV. No, I don't have any broken TVs. I would never do that to that stuff. But then I found out this morning that they had bases loaded and no out, and whatever the 6th or 7th inning, and the
Couldn't
heart
score.
of their order came up: Correa, Buxton, and
Exactly.
Larnick.
Yep,
And
nobody could score.
they couldn't get a run in.
Yeah.
They both, the Correa and Buxton, both hit ground balls back to the pitcher. Forrest is at the plate, and then
Yep.
Larnick, of course, in usual fashion, struck out.
Yep.
So it's like, I don't know. And Larnick's hasn't been doing that bad, so I shouldn't get down on him. He's been taking some walks, but he's also been striking out, but he's been hitting the ball okay. But at that point, you're not going to get a hit every time up.
No, and the sad part, Gary, when you look at it, it's their starting pitching is doing well.
Oh, very
I mean,
well.
One of the best in the league, and then they get to Began and the rest of the
Well,
guys.
to be fair, Pagan has not pitched that much this year. He's only come in and
that's probably why they won a few more
well,
games.
but then you have, what was I going to say? Well, Jorge Lopez, not Pablo, the starter.
Well, Pablo's starting the big
He's-
contract, and he hasn't won a game since.
No, he's 2-2, but he pitches today for them. But Jorge Lopez had a 0.00 ERA till the other day, when his first pitch they hit out for a home
Yeah.
run or something. Duran, you'd think with the stuff he has, he'd be unhittable, but
He doesn't have much control, though. I mean,
No.
yeah, he can throw the ball 102 miles an hour, but it's all over the place.
and to be a guy who pitches one inning, usually a game, to have a 2 point something ERA, you can't do that.
Yeah, wow. They brought Began in last night, and he has a ERA of 6.03 or something like that. And he's only pitched 2 innings.
Yeah. So he gave up like 6 runs against Boston,
Yeah.
from what I understand, a few games. Well, at the beginning of the year.
Nothing else going on in
Right.
any skating show? No, nothing. No plays. No.
No, but just remember that Doc Savage.
Yep.
And then there must be the concerts coming up, the choir concerts and band concerts,
Yeah.
usually on Mondays.
We had the drama team or the drama department give a little presentation last night at our meeting for school board, and boy, they got a great program going there. So if you ever get a chance to go see a play or a choir concert or something, please go do
Yeah.
it. You'll enjoy it.
Big book sale this weekend at the Armory.
Big book
Oh.
sale at the Armory.
Armory, and there's a white elephant sale
Sale at
Yeah.
Memorial.
at the Memorial
Yeah.
Building.
And Gary's having a garage sale too. So
Yes, I am.
he's got
So-
a lot of hats he's got to get rid of.
For Mike Egan, I'm Gary Chimbetti. We'll see you again in 2 weeks.
Hibbing Public Access Television would like to thank U.S. Bank for providing us with studio space.